Hey, welcome back to The Explainer. You ever feel like you need, I don't know, a secret decoder ring just to figure out who you're buying insurance from? Yeah, you're definitely not alone. The job titles can be super confusing, but knowing who's who is really the key to getting the right kind of protection. So let's just cut right through all the noise. Agent, broker, wholesaler, MGA. What is the real difference between all of them? And that's exactly what we're going to break down today. By the time we're done, you'll be navigating this world like a total pro. All right, here's our game plan. We're going to start with the folks you actually meet, face to face. Then we'll pull back the curtain to see how the whole system connects, from those specialized players to the tech that makes it all run. And finally, we'll look at the fuel, the commissions. Okay, first things first. Before we get into any titles, the one thing you've got to know is that every single person we're about to talk about, they're licensed professionals. They're regulated by state commissions, and that's all designed to make sure they're qualified and to protect you. And, that's really the foundation of the whole system. It's what's supposed to give you peace of mind. It means that whether you're talking to an agent or a broker, they have a duty, a real obligation to act in your best interest and help you find a policy that actually works for you. Okay, let's get right to the big one. The question that trips everybody up. What is the real difference between an agent and a broker? Honestly, if you only get one thing from this whole explainer, this should be it. It all comes down to one really simple question. Who do they work for? An agent, and it doesn't matter if they're captive to just one company or independent representing a few, ultimately works for the insurance company. A broker, on the other hand, works for you. Their job is to go out and scan the market to find the best policy for your specific needs. And that one little difference, who they work for, has a huge impact on what they can actually do. An agent can usually bind coverage. That means they can finalize the deal right there, and bam, your policy is active. A broker finds you the right policy, but then they have to hand it off to an agent or the insurer to actually make it official. And this quote right here, it just nails it. It all comes down to where their primary legal duty lies. Once you get that, the advice you get from them makes a lot more sense. Okay, but what happens when what you need to insure is, well, a little weird? Maybe it's a new cybersecurity firm or a brand new food truck. Sometimes your regular agent or broker has to call in for backup. This is where we have to go behind the curtain a bit. Think of it like this. Your retail broker is kind of like your family doctor. They're great for most things, but for something really complex or rare, they're going to send you to a specialist. Well, in the insurance world, that specialist, that's the wholesale broker. They have the deep knowledge and market access for all those really hard-to-place risks. So let's walk through how this actually plays out. Let's say you've got your awesome new food truck business, right? That's a pretty unique risk. Your local broker, they look, but they just can't find a standard policy. So what do? They call a wholesale broker who lives and breathes this stuff. And that wholesaler connects them to the right insurance carrier who does offer that specific coverage. It's a win-win. All right. So now that we know about wholesalers, let's talk about a very specific and pretty powerful type of wholesaler. They're called a managing general agent, or MGA for short. So what's the big deal with MGAs? It all comes down to one thing. They've been given the pen. Now, in industry slang, that means the insurance carrier has given them underwriting authority, the power to assess risk, price it, and accept it, all on behalf of the carrier. That is a massive level of trust. And just look at the kind of power we're talking about here. An MGA isn't just selling you a policy. They can act like the underwriter, they can bind the coverage, issue the actual policy documents, and in some cases, even handle the claims. They're basically acting like a mini insurance company for a very specific niche product, which is why they're so critical for complex things like professional liability. Okay, so we've got all these different players in the game, right? Agents, brokers, wholesalers, MGAs. You might be wondering, how in the world does this not turn into a total chaotic mess of paperwork? Well, the answer, as you can probably guess, is technology. And we're not talking about some niche thing here. Just look at this number, 67%. That's more than 2/3 of all agencies using this stuff for personal insurance. So the industry isn't running on fax machines and sticky notes anymore. It's running on data. This tech is basically the engine keeping the whole system moving. And the payoff for everyone is just massive, not just for the industry, but for you too. It means way fewer errors, you get service much faster, and your policy info is always up to date and accurate. For an agent trying to juggle multiple insurance companies, this isn't just nice to have, it's absolutely crucial. So how does the magic happen? Well, under the hood, the insurance carriers work with tech companies to build a data pipeline. That pipeline feeds information directly into an agent's main software, what they call their Agency Management System, or AMS. It's the central hub for everything, making sure everyone's looking at the same page.
All right, so we've seen the players and the technology engine. But what's the fuel for that engine? Let's talk about the money. How does everyone get paid? Well, the whole system runs on commissions.
So there are really two main flavors of commission you need to know about. First, you've got upfront commission. That's pretty simple. It's a one-time payment when the policy is first sold. But the really interesting one is residual commission. This is an ongoing payment the agent gets as long as you keep renewing your policy. And that, right there, creates a really powerful reason for them to provide good long-term service.
But like a lot of things, it's kind of a double-edged sword. On one hand, it's a great incentive for agents to find you the best possible coverage and, with those residuals, to keep you happy for the long haul. But on the other hand, there's always a risk it could create a conflict of interest, where the main goal might become making the sale instead of finding what's truly best for you. It's just a dynamic that's good to be aware of.
So here we are at the end of our tour. Now that you can tell an agent from a broker, and you know about the specialists like wholesalers and MGAs working behind the scenes, the real question is, who's the right partner for your team? The answer is going to be different for everyone, but now you have the tools to make a really smart choice.